everyone. Welcome to the Digital Experience Team Retrospective. We'll go over things that went well and things to improve on over the last 2-week sprint. Today is Thursday, January 13th. And first, for things that went well, Tyler has the first point. And Tyler is muted.
I clicked it, I swear. Now that we've landed all of the Google Tag Manager stuff, or like now that we have landed a substantial amount of GTM work in GitLab.com, iterations are a lot easier because there was a big upfront lift where like a bunch of stuff had to ship at once to make things happen. And now we're sort of like integrated in the workflow, and also like there's no more conversation about like, should there be Google Tag Manager? Because hello, it is here. And the iterations can also be smaller where it's like, oh, like we already do it this way. So like we're doing it the same way over here because we like need to grab a page or whatever. So yeah, it's just been really nice. So this last, like all of the GTM stuff that I landed this iteration was like way smoother because they were like smaller changes that were more isolated. And like, I just didn't have to get into a whole thing about like, should we even do this? Cause like, it's already been done. So, that's, yeah, just great. So Barker, you are up next.
Yeah, this iteration cycle, I started blocking my time out almost like the day before. I'll block it all out, and I'm really diligent about if I'm working on product code, it's like a 3-hour block, and I close all my other IDEs and I close down Slack, and like I just work on that. And same for like MR reviews and lunch and all that, and it's really helped me do all that context shifting. So it was a lot more productive, which is cool. I have the next one. The migration to the buyer experience repos going awesome. Kind of an FYI, for the next cycle, I want to switch over to migrating some key pages like the free trial sales demo and install. Are y'all ready for that? Yeah. All right. Next, Nathan.
Yeah, just a quick one. Just want to say thanks to Tyler. I know we talked about this in like the 2-day offsite about these like random calls and missing kind of like whiteboarding or blackboarding when you're in the office. And I think I called him like 4 or 5 times. So I don't even know how many times it was. But even like 5 minutes is so helpful because sometimes you're so far down a hole and you just need somebody to look at it from like the top level view. And yeah, thanks a lot. And then, yeah, I guess I'll shout out to Megan as well for probably the quickest MR or code to production since joining. I think it was like 4 days or something. I don't even know what it was, but it was quick. So yeah, shout out to that. But I think that's it for things that went well. We want to move on to things to improve on.
All right, I got the first one. I'd like to improve on our Git commit message guidelines. There's a couple MRs that came through with, over 30 commits. I do it. It happens. We're moving fast, but I don't want to merge 30 commits into our commit history. I want it to be like 1 or 2. We don't have a process yet for it. Product does. So I think that's something we can work on together.
I think we can just grab whatever danger job they have is what I wrote here. So that's all. And we can also use that for reviewer roulette.
Oh, yeah. And I put an action item from that. I've had this discussion with Michael and he's 100% supportive of it. So I'm going to create an issue for it and we'll get it triaged so that we can build it in there.
The next point on this is just like, I don't think we should do this. I don't think we should target GitLab.com. Javi and I started talking in there. Like, it would be such a mess to enforce. So many people contribute to that who are not like Git people, like who don't know what a commit message means. And Javi, I understand you've got a good thought on using squash and merge, but I think we'd still have to educate a lot of people about like writing good titles for their MRs because that's what ends up in there. Like, I think we just got to let that thing stay a mess because you have to corral everybody into that, and like you're just going to slow things down for something that like folks like will not think is important.
I didn't make a point about this, but to add on, there's a lot of the when people edit with the IDE, it automatically makes a commit message that's like edited file/site/record, whatever, like the file path or whatever, and that's also what the MR title might be. I can't recall, but yeah, policing that is impossible. Yeah.
We might have to consider that when implementing DangerBot into the buyer experience repo, because all our content is very nicely organized into YAML file. And I foresee our partners using the IDE to edit that.
I think it'll be a lot easier. There will be less content. And if we do this sooner than later, when people learn about the new place to edit stuff, they will start with the understanding that like restriction is in place. My fear for the existing www repository is that there are many people who have years of bad habits, and like I don't want to fight people's years of bad habits on an existing code base, right? So like I think if we do this soon, we can like handle the web IDE stuff, and we can like do a better job educating a smaller amount of people who want to edit a smaller amount of content in the buyer experience repository.
I'm gonna move on to the next one. I am going to boot an MR for creating a handbook page about our buyer experience repository. Had a couple people reach out and they're like, "Whoa, where'd my content go? Whoa, how do I update it? Wow!" And so it's time. We got to get that. If you have any thoughts on like what should be on there before I start, please add it to the issue, and then I will tag y'all for collaborating on that MR. Absolutely. Laura.
Yeah, we spoke about this briefly before recording, but going over retrospectives in a formal manner, like recording and going over some of the points, because we have a few retrospectives open for slippers, one for OKR planning, and I don't know if that's of value or if those should be async. Yeah, I see Barker has a point there.
Yeah, I'm for it. Let's do it and let's record it.
Yeah, cool. So that's made its way into the action items, so I'll do that. And then Mateo is the next point.
Okay, so I was working on a bunch of pages that had similar templates. So with the intention of saving time, I created a chain of merge requests which depended on one another, and that ended up being just a mess to handle and to review, I can imagine. So yeah, lost some time with that. I was thinking maybe for the next time something like this happens, I could create just one merge request for all the pages that share the same template. It would take more time to go out that merge request because all pages would need to be complete, but it would be much easier to handle, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, well, I've run into this in the past before. It was a result of just moving too fast. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Learned to get a little bit more. For some of these, I kind of like having the like one page migration that's already has a sister MR together. If we want to start combining those to more than one page at a time, you might want to set some guidelines around there, like no more than 4, because it will make reviewing it a little harder. But it's up to us. We can set that however we want.
There are some times when it depends on someone else MR. So there are some required changes, and someone else is already working on that. So it doesn't work to create both two similar components, different components. So it's better to wait for another one. But in the end, it's still dependent on some other pages, someone else MR.
I think if we're good, I'll move on. Actually, I'm going to let Tyler vocalize his next because it's the same point, and I think he put it more eloquently. But I'm plus one.
Okay. You beat me to it though. But I was going to say we heard this a bunch in the red, yellow, green check-ins before the recording. A lot of people shared that having the offsite right after a long break was more challenging than it needed to be. I think this is really just a risk for like this, like the whatever we do right after the holiday breaks, and perhaps like next year, like let's take a couple of days to get back up to speed from the break. Or if there's another like big planning meeting that's coming up after, I don't know, some larger holiday weekend or something, maybe we just like no cold starts on the big planning meetings, I think is the big thing, because it sounds like a lot of folks struggled with that. So just something to improve on like long term, and whenever it comes up.
I agree. I think you're right. It's probably a rare occasion.
The next one will be in like March or something, like I don't know, maybe people are recovering from Mardi Gras and we don't do it right afterwards. But
oh man, it's right, spring break, we gotta go wild.
Cool. So we have some action items there. I don't know if we want to go over those. I know that mine has been mentioned, but yeah, Barker, do you want to say?
Yeah. Going to create an issue for building the reviewer roulette and danger bot into the buyer experience repository. So scope that out and get it triaged. Laura?
Yeah, I have scheduling those sync meetings. I might leave the slippers one to Javi to do the lead on that one, and I can schedule a meeting for OKR planning. There isn't a lot of chatter in that issue yet. I think Jess made some points, but feel free to add to that OKR planning issue as well. And then next, Tyler.
Who is Mike? The action item is, who is the DRI on the P1 plus P2 analytics recommendations epic?
I am.
Is anyone? You are? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you? I wanted to mention, Michael had posted in Slack, and I thought we should give him an answer since we're all talking here about what the status is, either if it's ready to be closed. I don't think so, and if not, what's outstanding and what's the plan on it.
Yeah, I'll have to look, get up to date. We're almost done.
Cool. I will Slack him just so he knows in that thread.
And then Javi's adding one now.
Yeah. Also, I have the linter tech debt working group exploration and then add items to Slipper's retro agenda. So
Cool. And I think that's it, unless anyone has any closing thoughts. Otherwise, I'll stop the recording. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.